Today, I'm gonna turn these cacao pods into the freshest bar of chocolate you've ever seen. And then my friend Luke's gonna turn that chocolate bar back into a cacao pod that tastes even better than the original. I don't think anyone's ever done this before. To start, let's cut this bad boy open. I'm always so surprised that this is where chocolate comes from. Inside are our fleshy, fruit-covered seeds. The gooey flesh of these seeds tastes a lot like a tropical lemonade, almost sort of like Starburst or Jolly Ranchers, but it's really hard to describe. And they're really gooey and squishy. Take a listen. Our next step is gonna be to ferment these beans, which will take about a week. This part of the process really helps to develop all that flavor that we know and love in chocolate. Now that the seeds have fermented, you can see that the color has changed quite a bit. They start to get almost this dark reddish color, and that means we're ready to roast. Now that we've roasted them, listen to these seeds. You can see at this point that they've all turned this dark roasted golden brown color, almost like a coffee bean. And here's my favorite part. When I crack it in my hand, out of this seed will come cacao nibs. You're gonna have to give me a little while here because I'm gonna be crushing a million cacao seeds to get out those nibs. You might recognize these cacao nibs from the top of a smoothie bowl or from a fancy cafe somewhere. They're a little bit bitter, but this is basically the only ingredient that you need to make chocolate. I'm gonna add my cacao nibs to a grinder. I'm gonna start grinding this. And at first, it'll turn into a powder. But then once that cocoa butter is released, it'll turn into a chocolate paste. I can add just a little bit of sugar into my chocolate, and once I mix that up, this right here will taste just like a chocolate bar. Next, I'm gonna temper the chocolate. And to start, I'll pour about 60% of my cocoa powder into a bowl over a double boiler. I wanna get this melted chocolate up to about 114 degrees Fahrenheit. Once my instant read thermometer reads 114 Fahrenheit, I'll pour in the remaining 40% and stir this until it hits 91 degrees Fahrenheit. Tempering chocolate can definitely be tricky, but if you do follow along with just a couple simple steps and have a reliable thermometer to work with, it's actually not too difficult. Now that we're at 91 Fahrenheit, let's pour this into our mold. Spread that chocolate out as evenly as possible, and then we wait.
Cool, that's not satisfying.
That's amazing. Oh. Now we'll let that chocolate rest for about a half an hour until it's well tempered. And now with all this leftover chocolate, I get to do the best part, lick the spoon. After letting this temper, we have our chocolate bar. This part on the bottom right here is smooth as a baby's bottom, which tells me that we did a really good job tempering. But the more important part is the other side, the part we're actually gonna look at. I'm gently gonna peel back the mold, which will expose this perfect chocolate bar. You have to admit, it's pretty crazy that we just took a cacao pod and turned it into this. Now I'm gonna pack up my chocolate bars with a little bit of aluminum foil and send them off to my buddy Luke, who's gonna work his magic.
Oh. Alrighty, let's see what we got from Nick here. Oh, Willy Wonka in the house. All right, I can work with this. All right, so now we're gonna Benjamin Button this thing back into a cacao pod. Got my double boiler here, chocolate from Nick. Break them up. Just give these some time. So I'm gonna need a couple more ingredients to make the actual cacao pod. Flour, sugar, baking soda, and baking powder. Cocoa powder just for a little extra flavor. Mix this up. Milk, vegetable oil, vanilla extract, 2 eggs here. Gonna mix that up now. The best part, we're adding Nick's chocolate, and then we'll just mix this together. 1 cup of water. Super, super moist. All right, here we go. So we're gonna bake this in the oven at 350 for a half hour. So I'm gonna start by carving all the crusts off. Level out the top, so soft. This part is pretty fun. Okay, I'm just gonna carve the general shape at least. Fill it with some chocolate buttercream. Top it off with this guy, and then just gonna let it cool in the fridge a little bit. Alrighty, just gonna jump in here, start carving down to our cacao pod. So I'm starting on the top and just going down, kind of like a football. All right, so now I'm just gonna go ahead and do the indents that run down the side. So this is just the layer of buttercream that the fondant will stick to. Just gonna smooth it out. Super handy dandy note card. Carving away at the buttercream. So I have my modeling chocolate here and I twist it, kind of push them along. Okay, a little bit of cornstarch. All right, so our cake is all firm. Cover this in our modeling chocolate. Make sure it's really stuck to our buttercream. Pulling and pleating, closed up along the bottom. Get all those creases in to our butt here. Just gonna texture it right before going into the airbrush. So I'm gonna start by doing a very light layer of yellow. And this really kind of pushes the color all around too. Now we got some orange going on. So with the brown, I'm gonna go into each like visible indentation that I see. Let's paint this butt. Brown food dye and grain alcohol. The grain alcohol is gonna make it dry really fast, so I don't have to worry about anything smudging like I did with the airbrush and water. And just splatter all over the cake, just like the cacao pod. Now I'm just gonna go along and do like the bigger splatters and blemishes. All right, and there you go. What do you think?
Are you kidding me? That looks insane.
I couldn't have done it without your beautiful cacao nibs, man.
I really, really wish I could taste that right now.
All right, what do you say we cut this guy?
Let's cut right into that bad boy.
Wow, here's the reveal.
Oh, sweet.
Cheers. That's delicious. Really is.